Hello class, welcome to week 13 of Programming Logic with Python. So for this week we're going to be covering modules, packages, and file operations, I believe. I say I believe because the third part of that, what we're going to be covering this week, we're not actually going to be using. It's included in your textbook, so you guys can read through that and become familiar with it, but it won't appear on test 3 at all, file operations, where test 3 is really just going to take modules and packages from this week. So that's why in this video I'm just going to cover those two things. So let's get started. So I have this site called learnpython.org. It's a good resource. I think it kind of explains the concept of modules and packages as clearly as possible. So let's use it for now. This is the topic overview video. So I'm just going to go over the topic of what we're learning this week. I'm not going to go over the homework assignments. That's going to be in a separate video. So modules and packages. So in programming, a module is a piece of software that has a specific functionality. For example, when building a ping pong game, one module would be responsible for the game logic and another module would be responsible for drawing the game. Each module is a different file which can be edited separately. So modules in Python, that's just the concept of modules in general. But modules in Python are simply Python files with a .py file extension. The name of the module will be the name of the file. A Python module can have a set of functions, classes, variables, all defined and implemented inside of it. In the example above, we have two files. We will have my game.py, and draw.py. Don't worry about that too much. Just the concept of the module is that it's a py file. So we've created py file programs throughout the course. We've created many. All of those that we've created throughout the course are essentially modules. So here they're just saying, well, they're actually talking about importing modules. We'll get to that in a second. For that, I think this might be a little bit easier to understand, because here they're kind of, it's a little bit, it could be a little bit confusing. So let's go here for importing modules. I just wanted that for the explanation of what a module is. So let's go all the way to the top. Well, actually, first we'll create a module. And creating a module is essentially creating a piece of code that we've created throughout the course. So here they're saying that they have a .py file called myModule, and inside of it they have a function that they created of greeting. It's passing one parameter of name, and it's just printing out hello and then whatever values associated to that parameter of name. That's all it's doing. That little piece of code, just that little function that exists in the my module.py file is a module. That's all they're saying. So like, yeah. So to use a module, now we can use the module we just created by using the import statement. So say I am in a whole different .py file. The myModule.py file still exists, but it's a different file. Now I'm opening a new .py file called myModule2. And in this .py file, I want to import that greeting function from the myModule.py file. So to do so, at the very top of my new file, I would write import myModule, and then that means everything I'm essentially importing the entire .py file. So everything inside of it is fair game. I could use it. So if I want to use the greeting function, I would do the name of the imported module, so my module, period, and then whatever function or object or variable I want to use from that .py file, or that module. They're the same. And so in this case it's greeting, and then I'm going to pass the argument of Jonathan, because remember Jonathan's going to take the place of a name right here, and it's going to print out hello Jonathan. So that's the most basic form of creating a module. So that's creating a .py file and importing a module, importing a .py file into another .py file, just because you want to use some of the code from the original .py file in your new .py file. I'm saying .py file a lot, but it's just a little bit easier to say .py file than module because you guys are familiar with what a .py file is. Okay, so when using a function from a module, use the syntax of module name, period, and then the function name. Uh, Easy enough? Okay, so now variables in a module. So this module can contain functions, as already described, but also variables of all types. So arrays, dictionaries, objects, all that stuff that we've learned in previous weeks, they can also be included in our code. And we know that because we've done that. We've added all those stuff in the programs that we've created to this point. So of course they can be included in a module because a module is essentially a .py file. So again, here they say they have the file called mymodule.py, and in it we have this I believe it's a dictionary. Yes, it's so um, yes, it's a dictionary. So it gets confusing sometimes with the whole dictionary sets tuples list. I knew it wasn't a list because of the curly brackets, but I was like, but it's a dictionary because it has the essentially like the keyword and then the actual keyword and then the key. So that's that. Well, keyword and then value, key value pair. Um, so that's that. So it does have a dictionary inside of here called person1. And then say we want to import that dictionary so that we can use it. So we're going to import the module, the entire module again by doing import my module. And then what they're doing is they're and access the person1 dictionary. So they're assigning a, let's see, so a new variable called a, assigning it my module period person1 so that they can actually use this dictionary. And then they're just saying they're passing they want the value of age. So this should print out 36. So if I run this example, it should, yeah, okay. So they're specifying a specific entry in the dictionary and saying age. So A is essentially it's equated the value of age, which is 36. So when I print out A, it's going to print out 36, as you saw. So that part doesn't really matter. They're just saying that you can use, um, you can import modules to use their functions, but you can also import modules to use their dictionaries. Similarly, you can use them to import them to use their arrays, their objects, all that stuff. So naming a module, so you can name a module file whatever you like, but it must have the file extension .py. Renaming a module, you can create an alias when you import a module by using the as keyword. So I do include a lot of the little shortcuts and important stuff that you might want to know about modules and packages in the PowerPoint. So if you guys do want specifics on that, past just the textbook, do go to the PowerPoint under week 13. I do include the as keyword in there. So for the example, so if you saw that we imported the module based off the name of the .py file program or module that we created originally, which is my module.py. So if I want to use that in a different file, I do import my module. Now here they're saying you can create an alias for my module because say your program name is really long and you don't want to write it out when you import it, if you have to import it multiple times, like in different new programs, then we don't want to write the whole .py name of it. So there's a way to create a shortcut for it. So import my module, so same as that, but now we're going to use the as keyword. So we do space as, and then we could just name it whatever we want. It could be something very short. So mx, so this is what I was saying. So like say we are importing the entire module, but we want to just call it mx for short. And whenever we call a function of that module, if we call a object, a dictionary, an array, instead of writing my module, I can just write mx. For here, they're just doing the same thing that they did up here. They're calling the dictionary of person 1, and they're essentially assigning the value of age, which is the second entry in that dictionary, to the variable of a. So when I print out a, it's going to give me, I believe it's 36. Yep. Okay, so renaming a module with the as keyword, pretty simple. You're not really changing the module, you're not um, importing only certain sections of the module, you're importing the entire module but just naming it something else. Okay, so built-in modules, there are several built-in modules in Python which you can import whenever you like. So here they're just showing you they're importing one built-in module called the platform module. Don't worry too much about the platform module, they're just showing you that it's an example of a built-in module. So I do think they may give you a list of built-in modules in the textbook, maybe not. Don't worry about this too much, just know that they exist. So using the dir function, there is a built-in function to list all the function names. I do know that they include this in the textbook. In a module, so the dir function, so list all the defined names belonging to the platform module. So um, if I try this myself, it's going to give me all of this. Remember, the platform module is a built-in module for Python, so all of these things, when I did the dir function, which is essentially just saying, give me the directory of all the objects, functions, arrays, whatever that are inside of that built-in module, it just lists it out for you in a list format. Now, this is a built-in module. If I had a user-defined module, which is like a program, or that's not a thing. um, it kind of is. A user-defined function or module is essentially a program that you write. So if I were to use this dir function on a program that you write, it would give me all the functions that you created, all the objects that you created, essentially like variables, arrays, dictionaries, all that stuff. It would list all that stuff in a list for me. And the reason we use this is just so that we know what we have available in certain modules. So the dir function can be used on all modules, built-in and not, and user-defined, also the ones you create. So yeah. So import from module. So let's see. Okay, yeah, so here they're importing only specific things from the modules. So far we've imported the entire module. We've also imported the entire module and changed the name of the module so that we could reference it in our new program in a shorter manner. So now we're gonna see how we can not only import the module, but be specific on what we want to import from that module. So not import the entire thing, but maybe we just want to import a specific function, a specific dictionary. We can do that as well. So to do that, we use the keyword from. So in our example, we have the module named myModule, which has one function and one dictionary. So this is what the myModule.py file currently has. So just keep that in mind. So now here we have a completely different .py file. We don't know what it's called. It can be, you could pretend it's named just anything else. So the first line of this new .py file, we're going to import myModule, but we're not going to import the entire thing. So it's important to understand the keywords that are being used. If this was just import myModule, that means I'm importing the entire module. But because it begins with from, and then it says the name of the original .py file, which is myModule, it just means from this program file of myModule, and then this next keyword, import a certain piece of that .py file. In this case, we're importing just the dictionary, and I know that because the dictionary up here is called person1. So from the myModule.py file, I'm only importing the dictionary. That's it. I'm not importing this function. This function still exists in the original .py file of myModule, but I just don't want to use it for now. I just need the dictionary. So essentially, that's what is happening here. So here I'm just going to print out person 1 age, and if I run this, it's just going to print out the value of age, which is 36. So when importing from the keyword, or using the from keyword, do not use the module name when referring to elements in the module. Um, Example, person 1 age. Oh yeah, so when you are doing this, we no longer use the my module as our reference point. We now use person 1 as our reference point because that's what we're importing. So like up here, let's see, yeah, right here. So actually, we'll use this. So right here, when we imported my module, when I wanted to reference a specific piece of code that existed in that my module program, I referenced my module, period, and then whatever I was referencing in that code. So in this case was the dictionary of my person. But since we're not importing the entire my module, I'm just importing a specific thing. That means here, I don't have to write my module period person 1. I can just write person 1 because that's all I'm importing. Okay, so, and let's go back to here. So we know how to write a module, so we don't have to worry about this. We've imported the module. Don't have to worry about that. We can give a custom import name for that module using the as keyword. Um, and module initialization, we don't have to worry too much about that. Loading path, we don't have to worry about. This is, it says learn Python, but it gives you some, it's a good reference point, but it includes some entry level or introductory topics and then mixes it with more complex topics. So that's why I didn't want to stay on this page too long. Here they just say that there's built-in functions, writing packages. Okay, so do I want to use this? Or simply directories. For this, let me quickly reference the PowerPoint. So give me a second. I'm going to open up the PowerPoint. So thus far, I think you guys now have a decent understanding of modules and how to import them, how to use the as keyword, how to use the from keyword when playing with modules, which is really the most important takeaway from this chapter. So now I'm opening up the PowerPoint, so I'm going to share that with you guys. So now you guys should be able to see. If I close this. PowerPoint. Okay. Oof. All right, so this is the PowerPoint. You could find it under week 13 right here. So it's right there. So I explain what a module is, how to create a module, which this is just like a function that exists inside of a module called, say, module1.py. How to import a module. I showed you guys how to import modules. I showed you guys how to import modules with a different name. So this is import with the renaming. Use the as keyword. I showed you guys how to import only certain parts of the module using the from keyword. So that's what this slide is saying. So this is another way of importing. They included this in the, I believe they included this in the book, maybe not. So you could also import all names from a module, so like all definitions, using the following construct. So you would do the from the math module, so pretend it's math.py. So I'm saying from math.py import everything. And to do that, I would do the star keyword. So in the above example, we have imported all definitions from the math module. This includes all names visible in our scope, except those beginning with an underscore because they're private definitions and we learned about private and all that stuff. You don't have to worry too much about this. I just left this here just so that you guys can know that it exists. But really the most important thing is the from. So like importing specific things using the from keyword. and then the as keyword for renaming, and then obviously knowing how to just simply import a module, which is right here. So import and then module name. So let's keep on going down. So Python module search path. This is just, don't worry too much about this slide. It's there for you to see, but we don't really cover this. We're not going to really focus on this for exam 3. Reloading a module. You can read those. So I guess right here, we're importing IMP, we're importing my module, so, and then we're importing my module again. You can only import a module once. It's only gonna execute its code once, or like understand or take all that stuff into the new file once. If I try to import it multiple times, it's just gonna ignore it. But say, what happens if I make changes to that original .py file, and I want that import I want those changes to be reflected on the second .py file that I had imported my original .py file into. To do that, you would have to reload a module, and the syntax is imp.reload and then my module, and then it will reload it again. Simple enough. So the dir built-in function you guys saw, if I have a module, the dir function is just going to list everything that exists inside of that module, just so that you guys know, or just so that you would know what functions, what dictionaries, what arrays you might have access to, or that way you can be specific on what you actually need, because you might not need everything from that module. You just want to pick and choose the stuff that you want. So here's an example of the output of a dir function call that is examining um, the example module. So explanation on previous slide. So that's that. So what is a package? I guess we can go start here because we didn't really cover packages, but packages are really just collections of modules. So it's a collection of .py files because .py files they store code, right? So think of that as like a Word document. So you write Word documents. Some might be essays, some might be homework assignments like that teacher might give you, but all of them are not the same. Some might just be like, you might have like 20 Word documents that are, I guess, questions from the teacher. And you have to answer those, like review questions, end of the chapter review questions. And then you might have another 20 Word documents that are essays that you've written yourself. Now, if you're like me, when you go to your file explorer, you're not going to store all of that in the same place. I'm probably going to create folders for them and place them in different folders, just so that it's organized on my computer. And that's kind of what a package is. A package is a collection of modules, but it's not necessarily a collection of all modules in general. You can kind of organize them as you see fit. So like certain modules might pertain to one package, and then another set of modules might pertain to a different package. So a directory must contain, so yeah. Let me see if I missed anything here. Python has packages for directories and modules. Okay. So requirements for packages. So a directory must contain a file named the init. So we've kind of covered init already in order for Python to consider a package. So they're just saying that one of the files must be named init.py in order for Python to consider a package. So this file can be left empty, but we generally place the initialization code for that package in this file. Don't worry too much about this slide. It's just there to show you that this is what a package must have. But I'm never going to give you a question saying that you're going to have to create a package. I just want you to understand what a package is. It's a collection of modules, and in some cases it can be like broken down. Like you have multiple packages that store different kinds of modules based on how you want to organize your code. So here's like a visual example of package structure. So we have a package of game, and that package can have sub-packages. So it can have a sound sub-package, it can have an image sub-package, and it can have a level sub-package. And in each of those sub-packages, we might have .py files that pertain to it. And yeah, so importing module from a package. So give me 1 second. Okay, sorry for that interruption. I got a phone call. Okay, so if you want to import a module from a package, you would import using the following syntax. So we're going to go off this example right here. We have a package called game. We have a subpackage of which subpackage level right here, and they want to import the start module. So to do that, we would do import the package name. If it has a subpackage, we'd put a period subpackage and then period the module name. And for this, if this module contains a function named select difficulty, we must use the full name to reference it. So if I'm going to reference a specific object, function, array inside of that module of start, I would do game period level, which is the sub package name, and then start, which is the module name, and then whatever object, or in this case function, I want to reference, I would do another period and then do select underscore difficulty 2. So shortening previous slides code. So say I don't want to write all of that, say I want to just reference it in a shorter manner. For this, we would use the from keyword. So see, the from keyword shows up a lot, not just with modules, but when dealing with packages as well. So in this format, or so if this format seems lengthy to you, you could also import the module without the package prefix as follows. So you do from, and then the package name of game, because remember the package is game up here. And then I do period level. So level is the sub package, and then I do space, and then I import, and I just say from that level, just import the start.py file, which is the start module. So now when I reference that any object, directory, or function inside of that start module, I can just say start period, and then in this case it's the function of select difficulty, and I'm passing an argument here. So yeah, that's an easier way to do that. So here, let's see what they're saying here. If you want to import just, okay, so that's importing the module of start. So what if I just wanted to import a specific object or function? To do that, we still use the from keyword and in our syntax. So remember, this will appear, if I can highlight this properly, this will be your first line in that new.py file, and this will also be that first line. These second lines are just stuff that is how we're going to reference either a module and the function of the module, or in this case, just the function. So we're importing the package of game, the sub-package of level, and we're saying work with the start module, which is essentially start.py. So we're saying from all of that, import just the function of select difficulty. And so now when I reference that function inside of this new.py file, all I have to say is select difficulty, because I've already told Python select difficulty exists in this path right here of the package of game, the subpackage of level, and the module of start. So it's almost like this function of select difficulty exists in this new .py file that I'm working in, so I don't have to include any of that other stuff before it. So this is, you would only write it like this if you're only picking a certain function, dictionary, array, or whatever from a certain .py file that you're importing. This would be if you want to import the entire module into your code. You would write it as this. And then this is importing a module from a package. So this is the original way of writing it. It's a longer way of writing it. And then this is just the visual example of what a package is, what these subpackages are that I'm talking about, and then all of these are .py files. All of these are stuff that, these are essentially the programs that we've written throughout the course. Obviously not with these names, but it's just a visual representation of it. Don't worry about this slide, as I said. You can read this slide if you'd like. And then this is more of a reference point on the dir built-in function, so it's important to understand what that is. Reloading a module, I don't think it's going to be on test 3, so I wouldn't worry too much about this, but do understand what it is. This you definitely don't have to worry about, this module search path. I just included it because this you don't have to worry about either. The Python from, this from keyword, you will need to know how to do that, because that's like the from and as keyword are probably the most important takeaways from this week's content, because they allow you to manipulate not just modules but packages as well. So do understand that concept, focus on that concept the most, and I think that's really it. I don't want this video to be too long. This week it's more of a conceptual um, week of like, this is what a module is, this is what a package is, and this is how we reference them when we want to import it so that we can use the code in a new program. That's really all this week is. It's not like we are learning how to write a dictionary or an array. It's kind of just like a module is a piece of code that we've already been writing this whole course, and this week is, I'm just telling you that, oh yeah, all those programs that you've written are actual modules, and if you want to use those programs in a different program, we can import them using these keywords of import, using the keyword of from, as, all that stuff. So that's essentially what this week is. It's not too hard of a concept, but if you guys are confused, I guess try to watch this video, hopefully it helps. Go through the PowerPoint, read the textbook. The textbook is also pretty helpful, at least for like topics like this where it's hard for me to demonstrate it. It's more of a conceptual thing. So in this case, I would say use the textbook for this week. But for the stuff I did tell you to ignore, do ignore them. But for the stuff that I want you to focus on, so the biggest takeaways will be modules and packages. Ignore file operations completely if you want. It's not going to be on test 3. Focus on import, from, and as keywords, and obviously the director or dir built-in function, I believe, which is right here. Know what that is, and that's pretty much it. Know how to import a module, know how to import a module from a package, and all those specific things that I went over in this video, and you should be fine with this chapter. I will release another video for the lab walkthrough as well, but that'll be later tonight. But that's it, essentially. Alright, so I will see you guys in that video, and then after that I'll see you guys in week 14, which is actually the last week of the course, essentially, for learning new stuff, because week 15 will be the exam. So do start preparing yourself for that exam, but I'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer. So I'll see you guys in the next video.